Hi everyone, welcome to the weekly market update. So for this week, we'll be looking first of all, as usual, we start off with the economy calendar first. So for this coming week, things to watch out on will be on the crude oil inventory as well. Why? Later I will be going through one of the news that came out today or yesterday. And second thing is actually the initial job loss claim. And lastly, the most important thing will be the Fed chair, Powell speak. So first of all, why I say is quite important on these three things, as we know that last week for the US weekly jobless claim is actually jumped back above 1 million. So this actually might affect the stimulus check, because if let's say the stimulus check of paying free money to those people who are not working, who are unemployed, if let's say I want to take this free money, right, I will definitely go and uh, make myself not working. So this is one of the data we'll be monitoring very closely whether the Congress will pass on the stimulus check or not. So this is one of the data we will be monitoring on this coming week. And for crude oil inventory, why? Because I keep saying and keep repeating that crude oil right now is actually at a sideways consolidating charting. So we are waiting for the big news to move the market. It's either from the OPEC or whichever. However, as you can see that this today there's the storms is coming that might affect the supply of the oil. Basically, is the storm Marco and Laura. So it might be actually the hurricanes that actually caused to make the back-to-back landfall along the central Gulf Coast by this midweek. So it might actually, like I say, it's always speculate based on the headline of the news itself. So it might cause the supply being affected even though demand isn't there, but supply will be way below, uh, and then it might cause a spike to cause a breakout in the US oil chart. So watch out on this thing. If you are not into any oil position right now, just be aware. If you are, then please put your stop loss. All right. So lastly is actually on this Powell. They are going to speak next Thursday, which is coming Thursday. So it's actually they are going to discuss more on the Fed monetary policy framework review. They are going to speak out how do they actually review the framework or the strategy of it. But investor could get a hint from Fed Powell next week to see how aggressive the US central bank will try to manage the long-term recovery from the COVID pandemic. So we are looking for sign to see that uh, is Fed is going to explore additional way to support the global economy if let's say the stimulus package did not pass through. So definitely Powell have to do more. So this is very very important news. Of course, how does it relate to market is whether it's up or down is you have to see what's the statement. Of course, it might have do some spike during the point of time when he's speaking, but if let's say you are more to a swing trading, just have to do a good setup. If let's say you get stop loss, at least your risk to reward is always there. All right. Next, we will be following on this China US. So again, they hold on their phase one trade talk last week, but they are planning for the coming days to resume this trade talk once again. So we will see how the trade talks go ahead. I depend on the situation because Trump just recently said that they could decouple and not to do business with China. But to me, personal opinion, I think this is bullshit. We know that China is buying a lot of commodities from US. I mean, business is from here. If if it's totally not to do any business with China, it's actually very very bad for US. It's going to hurt the US economy. So I think this is just a headline to give it a headline for people to give a reason for it to come down for a pullback. But this is not going to affect. This is not going to be true to what I see lah. All right. Lastly, is actually on the COVID vaccine update. We know that actually Russia, they have some approves of the trial on this COVID-19 vaccine, and beside that, Pfizer and biotech, they also say that the vaccines could be review on the COVID vaccines and could be early as October. So vaccine is right now a very important things to this COVID. Of course, the economy is being damaged. The company balance sheet is being damaged. But after all, we need good news right now in order to let the market go even higher, right? And uh, not just because of market, because of the health concerns, because of the death has been growing. So they have been pushing very hard on the vaccine itself as well. So this is what we have been monitoring. Lastly, I'm going directly to the chart right now. That's all for the news today. So for the chart, as I have been mentioning for my past video, I keep saying the S&P 500. As we know, the S&P 500 has been at the all-time high at 3,004 right now. I've been mentioning and mentioning that it will break. It will break. A lot of people, if you look at what people have been charting on in the trading view or whichever their recommendation, they'll be saying to short uh, S&P 500. Mainly is because the risk reward is very tempting, because your risk is just above this all-time high. Right, just cut if you let's say break through. But usually, first of all, we are still on the trend. We are still trading on the upward trend. All right. Secondly, based on the Fibonacci trade, not retracement, but this is called, I'm using this called Fibonacci extensions. I can see that the next extension right now we are at the 50%. The next is actually at the 61.8%. So I'm looking for S&P going to touch 3005. This is what I'm looking at. If let's say it break, then I will review here. Of course, I would long, even though I'm kind of confident that it will break through. I would long because the risk is quite huge. So I'm waiting to short. But of course, if you want to short, always short at the right time, right? So I'm looking at 3005. There I will remonitor on here again. As you can see from my charting, I'm actually draw this blue line. It's way since 2009, which our global financial crisis, all the way is been resistant, and here will be just nice the next resistance at the 61.8% of the Fibonacci extensions. So I'm monitoring very closely S&P 500 right now. So otherwise, I will continue to give a bull on this S&P 500 again. Next, I'm going to share with you 5 counter to watch list this coming week. Of course, we'll recap on Walmart, which I've given a trade signal last week, but just nice. I mean, I give my trade signal, I give my take profit, I give my stop loss, but it did not touch my stop loss, although it's very, very close at the point of time. All right, 130 will be my SL if let's say you are in my uh in my telegram. So the lowest it went is only 130 10 cents, so I'm about to get triggered, but it actually bounced back. This give a good signal for me to maintain my positions. So if you have not entered, it's a good chance to nimble a bit. Your stop loss still below 130. So if let's say you have entered, I will continue to hold on to my buy positions. All right, so my target is still 140. That is still my final target. Okay, that is Walmart. Second, I'm going to introduce this air transport service group. As we know, I mean, there's one news I didn't show, but it's not really uh, correlated, but hopefully there's one overspill, is that I mean, the US side has actually passed a bill to push on the meal for UPS. So it's like 250 million if I'm not wrong. So I hopefully that, because elections, they want the election voting to able to send through the UPS mail from the overseas residents as well. So I think for here we are still following the trend trading, and this red line is actually the resistance previously. It right now becomes support. So it came down to support. If the coming week is able to break through this resistance again with good volume, I will long it, and below will be my stop loss. Definitely, trade signal will be given in the Telegram later if let's say I see any good signal coming for this coming week as well. So third, I will review back on this arrowhead as well. Previously, trade signal is given. We hit my TP. Right now, I believe it's riding for my second TP. So I have exited. I mean, I have TP out. So I'm looking for a pullback to long again. Right now, we are still remain in the trades. I mean, the trend as well, the long trend as well. So I'm looking for good entering price. Of course, you must take note, like I say, uh, S&P, indices is all at an all-time high. So if you want to long, be cautious of your trading position size, manage it well. Otherwise, just step aside, because the the tendency of it for coming down is higher than it for going up. Correct or not? So if you want to long but the major index is coming down, right, you will somehow be affected. So if let's say I'm going to long this, it's not against the trend, it's still trade within the trend, but just be careful, manage your position size. The fourth stock today I'm going to introduce is called Momo. Momo, what is Momo doing? Momo is actually I'm so sorry. Okay, so what is Momo? Momo is actually the Chinese Tinder. So we know that Tinder is called a match group. I mean, the stock code is doing well. Momo is coming to have their earnings report this coming 19 August. So I believe if let's say right now we are riding above the um, what is this moving average? Is the 100-day moving average? Stay above the 100-day moving average. So there's a double bottom right now showing. I'm looking for Momo to break above 22. But if let's say break above 22 and you change it, the risk reward isn't very good. So it's depend on you, but I'm still looking for good volume to come in. All right, good volume to come in. Then definitely my stop loss is below $19. Of course, trade signal will be provided if let's say I see a good signal. But this red line is actually a support. All right, I worry that 22.50 might be the support and resistance, might be very strong here. So we will continue to monitor, put into your watch list. Lastly, I'm going to introduce is called Delta Airline. As we know, the airline is badly affected due to COVID. But right now, Delta Airline has a good news. It came out to say that they are going to resume their flight again. But of course, it's not immediately resume. But Delta Airline has a lot of, I mean, international flight and their domestic flight as well. So based on chart right now, we can see that here is the support. So it's actually above the triangle. So I'm looking for a pullback on Delta Airline to long it up, and then my stop loss is way below, it's just 24. So this risk reward is good for me, but of course, right now we are, it's badly affected. Everyone know that the airline is badly affected. So this is just a short-term trading. So I'm monitoring for Delta Airline to see any positive news, any positive signal before I put on my Telegram next week as well to give you a call. All right, so that's all for this coming week. If there's any good stocks appeared during the week's time, I will put in my Telegram as a strict signal to inform you guys. That's all. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice week. Bye bye.